Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a Nosferatu movie review. I saw this movie. I had a really interesting time with it. Let's go ahead and discuss this, shall we?
Modern movie review.
Alrighty, before we get too far into this review, I do want to go ahead and give a spoiler warning. I'm not going to get super duper deep into this movie, but just with any movie, I would like to just give you a heads up. I'm going to be talking about the movie, so surprise, I might reveal things that happen in the movie. So, there's your little heads up. With that being said, let's dive straight into this, shall we? So, right off the bat, I want to go ahead and talk about the genre of this movie. Gothic horror is making a comeback. I am extremely excited to see that. So far, this movie seems to be doing pretty well in the box office. Obviously, with horror movies, they tend to do relatively well because a lot of the scarier movies and stuff like that, people feel like they need to be in that atmosphere and seeing it in a theater. And I do think that that is definitely there with this movie. And I think that there's also kind of almost already going to be a cult following for this film. A lot of people are going up and dressing up for this movie, which is not something I necessarily saw coming. And I am actually really appreciating the amount of just support I'm seeing for this movie online. I think it is an incredibly awesome thing. This is definitely a movie that is more for the disturbed and stuff like that. And I definitely think that there are elements of this movie that are going to be way too much for some audiences. But that being said, I enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. I think that this movie did so much for this genre. Gothic horror is going to be making a big comeback. I think it slowly has been for years. I think that they made an Invisible Man movie relatively recently. One of the first movies that's coming out next year, or this year now, is going to be the movie Wolfman, which is, I believe, once again produced by the same company that did the Invisible Man movie, and it looks like it's going to be relatively good. Obviously, it's coming out in January, so it's usually a sign that it might not be as good, but the trailers for it is looking fantastic, and the fact that we're just getting more of these classic monster movies does make me really excited. Obviously, one of the really big hitters, we're getting Guillermo del Toro's, I almost butchered his name, I probably still did. He is making a Frankenstein movie, and it's going to be incredible, and the cast for it is fantastic. I'm not remembering any of the specific names right now, but trust me, if you look it up, that cast is beautiful. It's going to be incredible. And then we're also getting, I believe, a Bride of Frankenstein's movie is supposed to be coming out this year as well. I think it's coming out closer to August, but Gothic horror is making a comeback. We're going to start seeing some more movies that kind of play around with the color grading and stuff like that. I like the fact that this movie, every single scene that happened at night seemed like it was black and white. And I really love the fact that they were not afraid to do something that's stylistically different. I feel like a lot of people nowadays are more wanting to see, movies that look like they were shot in 4K and look like they were made in today's technology and stuff like that. So the fact that they were able to kind of take certain elements to kind of make it feel like it was filmed back in the day was awesome. I love the fact that they were able to do a lot of the practical stuff with all of the horror elements, with some of the blood splatters and stuff like that. I honestly could not tell you if it was visual or if it was something that they did in post, but I will tell you that it did look pretty damn realistic. Some of the blood splatter and stuff like that, getting on the actors and stuff, I think they use practical effects for the majority of this film, which I think is awesome. They need to be doing that. I think that the set design for this film is once again beautiful. We see some beautiful drawbridges, probably the best drawbridge we've seen in cinema since Deathly Hallows Part 2. I'm kidding, I don't watch a lot of movies that have drawbridges, so I could be completely incorrect about that, but I just remember seeing that bridge leading up to Count Orlok's castle, and I was like, that is a beautiful damn bridge. We need more bridges like that in cinema. It's beautiful. I love it. Why did I just go on a tangent about bridges? I don't know, but I really genuinely did love the entire set design here. I think that every single time we were in the house for Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, it felt like a really huge, big mansion from back in the day. I like the fact that when we are walking the streets and there's all the stuff going on with the plague, it really feels just like the olden days. And I really like every once in a while there'll be a discussion on the internet of some people who have oh, this person has an iPhone face, or that person has an iPhone face. Everybody in this movie looked like they deserved to be in this time period. They looked like they actually were from back then, and I really like the fact that it felt so realistic to the times. The costuming was absolutely phenomenal. All of the sequences with the graves and stuff where we're seeing the cemeteries and we're watching their funerals and how everything took place, I think was very beautifully well done. There are a lot of elements of it that kind of reminded me of Edgar Allan Poe writing, which he's one of the few authors who I read. I'm not a very big book guy, but stuff like The Telltale Heart will always be stuff that around Halloween time I'll read it, I'll check it out, and there's definitely a lot of elements in here that are similar to his writing, which I really liked. This entire like genre and theme and aesthetic is being explored and dove into so perfectly that even though I am not necessarily a big fan of gothic horror, it's not really like my cup of tea. There's definitely some elements of this movie where I'm like, oh my god, can we just get to the next part? Can we just get to the next part? I still enjoyed it, and it's hard to deny that there is so much love and care for this movie and the crafting of it, because every single actor is giving 110%. The script, there are some long clunky pieces of dialogue, like I think William Dafoe's character, I love William Dafoe to death, and I think that he is one of the highlights of this movie, but there's also some sequences where he's just like reading off all the exposition that we needed for the last like hour and a half, and it's like, okay, that probably could have been done a little bit better. But for the most part, I really liked this movie, and I think that there are a lot of elements that worked well for me. I think that the horror aspects were fantastic. There were a couple of sequences where it was just like jump scares, which is not something I was necessarily expecting. It would just be like, okay, well, now he's looking at this character, and all of a sudden, oh my god, it's the other character. That's scary, spooky, oh my god. But that being said, it worked. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I jumped a couple times in this movie. I was like, no one saw that? We're good, and I just kept watching. But it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. This was actually one of the most packed theaters I've seen a movie in this year. I mentioned it a lot on my channel. I live in a relatively small town. The movie theater near me is an old-timey theater, so it sits like 100 people or something like that, and usually I'm one of like 3 people in the theater, and it's me and some old married couple, and I think it's fantastic. But this one, there was a big turnout. A lot of people closer to my age was there to watch this one, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. It was a great atmosphere, and I overall really liked the acting performances in this movie. I liked the costuming. I loved all of the set designs. Like I said, the story, there were definitely elements that felt a little clunky, but overall, really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson did phenomenal in this. I think Nicholas Hoult is having, or had a great month in the month of December, because Juror number 2 had its wide release as well in that month. I really enjoyed it. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. If I had to give this movie a final rating, I do it on a scale of 1 to 100, so it's kind of like a grade. I give this movie a solid 87. Like I said, this movie is not really my cup of tea. There's a lot of periods where it's really, really dark, and when I went to watch this movie, I was struggling to stay awake, and I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily a fault of the movie. I just think that this movie could have been a little faster paced, which I understand with how much dialogue and how much stuff that they had going on, and with how much Nicholas Holt's character had to travel in this movie. They definitely couldn't have necessarily like speed ran that too much, but there's also like long periods of time where it's just like almost too long without something interesting happening, which I don't necessarily think is fault of the movie. It's a fault of me having a fried TikTok brain, and I need entertainment and engagement faster. But that being said, that's just the few little areas where this movie did not click with me. But yeah, that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow. Bow.